Hi, everyone, and welcome to a new session with Code with Sally. The session run every Thursday at 12 p.m. Eastern time zone. I would recommend that everyone join the community group for Code with Sally or on Slack also and WhatsApp or LinkedIn pages because we are doing some changes on how the sessions are running. I will try my best to keep the Thursday session for us to go in our learning journey in Apex, and hopefully this year we start as well LWC component and how to write LWCs and the basics and progress as well as we did with the Apex. And in order to do that, we are moving our amazing guest speakers to be on Tuesdays. So we may have in some weeks 2 sessions. Other weeks may be just Tuesday, not Thursday, or vice versa. So the best to be updated is to be connected to Code with Sally so you can get the notifications. And I will take the opportunity to thank one of our great guest speakers that joined us before on one of the sessions and is coming back with a great series we are planning together. Bill, I want to thank you so much. Keep an eye on the announcements. We will be running some great sessions about Claude Code, and we'll learn from, I would say, zero to hero with Bill, how to use it, how to benefit of different features about it. So stay tuned and keep an eye. Today's session will go back to our journey of learning about the different Apex invocation types. And we'll continue and pick up where we left with the invocable methods. Just heads up for anyone who's joining, also like to subscribe and go to YouTube channel. We have a series for the beginners, and also this session will be uploaded to the intermediate series. Anyone who missed the previous series or videos for the invocable methods, you will find that we have 7 more videos before this one about the invocable methods, and I don't want you to feel like, why are we taking so much time on it? It's a simple, it's like methods. Why are we doing that? We're doing that because invocable methods are now used in different ways. In the past, they had more limited usage. So we want to open different ideas and give you different ways of using them so you know how to do it. And I was telling Ella before the session starts, I would say the most 2 important things that I would say if this is your first time learning about the invocable method is video number 1 and 2, because it explained why we pass, for example, a list and why it's a must to have an input as a list. Because it can be used with record trigger flows. We'll try to do some recap today, but I would strongly recommend at least watching part 1 and 2. The rest of the series is taking you into different use cases of invocable methods, like how you can use it in ScreenFlow, how you can use it to ground prompt templates. So we had to take a step back and explain what are in a simple way prompt templates. And we experiment with sales email, field generation, and flex templates, like the most, I would say, 3 famous prompt template types. So take your time, go through them. Also, feel free anytime if you have questions to Slack me or message me on WhatsApp. And if you are not part of the community on Slack or WhatsApp or the community group, message me and I'll share the link with you so you have an easier way to communicate. So let's get started. I love this slide because it shows where we are from the journey. So what we did in the beginner series, and that's a recap because we left the topic for a bit. We were talking and we learned about Apex and how to write Apex and different components for it. And also we were using a lot of anonymous blocks, so that was covered on the beginner. And towards the end of the beginner series, we learned about triggers and trigger handlers. And Apex invocation means like you have Apex code. How can you call it? A big chunk of the intermediate series, we discussed asynchronous Apex and the different types of asynchronous Apex, like future, queuable, schedule, batch, and we compared the different like usage and how we write them. We understood, we didn't memorize, we understood the syntax and why we have specific methods. For example, with the batch class, we understood together what is an interface and how that is a contract that dictate what to have. And after that, we started, as I mentioned, the invocable methods. So this is where we are. We'll continue our journey with the invocable methods today. So invocable methods, as I mentioned, they started to be used across different areas in Salesforce now with the AI and having Agentforce in the prompt templates. At the beginning, they were just limited mainly, or people go and use them mainly when they wanted to call Apex from a flow. So we covered in previous sessions how to call it from the flow, how to call it from the prompt template. Today, the initiative was, I had a goal to cover mainly how to call it from Agentforce Actions. But I thought about it as a good recap. We'll revisit one of the prompt template, invocable methods we wrote for a flow. We'll see how we can use it in Apex to cover this area. What do I mean by REST? And that was something new I learned while preparing for the sessions and this part of the invocable methods. And we will use it, the same invocable method as well, in an Agentforce action. And that will give you a great idea that you can have a single method and you can reuse it. We are used to reusing methods and calling a method from different Apex classes or handlers, but it's a new thing to see it live together in Code with Sally sessions, that the same method will be used. Not just we did it in the past in the flow, but we'll call it from asynchronous, like the developer console, or you can do any class that will call it. We'll see what do I mean with the rest, and we'll do it with the Agentforce action. And it depends on the time. We'll see if we have time to show other use cases for the Agentforce actions, or we can leave them as a homework, or we can agree together that you are excited to see them in a live sessions and implement them together. So we'll take it slowly today, see how we can fit in the time as much as we can without rushing, and answering as well the questions you have anytime. So keep the questions coming. Feel free to unmute anytime and ask, or type your message in the chat. I'll keep an eye on the chat as much as I can so I can answer your questions. So as a recap, and you will find this explained in details in the previous videos, Apex methods are invocable methods are nothing more than normal method with some limitations and some rules that we have to follow. First of all, we'll have the annotation invocable method to tell Salesforce, here you go, this is a method. It's a special type of method that I am able to call it from other spots. I can call it from a flow. I can call it from a prompt template. I can call it from Agentforce, and so on. It has to be public or global. It has to be in an outer class. You cannot have an inner class with invocable method. And all of that we tested together in the first couple of videos. We tried to change the method from public to private. We tried not to make it static, and we saw how that gave us an error. So you don't, in a sense, you don't have to memorize those rules. If you don't follow them, Salesforce won't allow you to deploy your class and you'll get an error. But it's good to know them as well. We can have only one invocable method per class, and it should take a list, and we explain together why. And that's because it can be used from a record trigger flow, and record trigger flow, the same as triggers, it will be working with bulkification. So it will collect the inputs from a couple of flow interviews, and we'll collect those data and send it to you as a bulk. So that's why the first list will be always for bulkification. And it can return either none or a list. And we'll see today how a single method can be used across different ways and different sources, and we'll see how we can use it not just with the flow, or it was built in one of the sessions just for the flow, but we'll be reusing it today for other areas. So let's get started. I will show it to you first as calling it as an Apex, like from other Apex, and then we will take it one step to see the REST API. We won't spend too much time on the REST API. We are planning to have an integration session and like one or more like in the series to explain integration, call out, and so on. I just want to highlight it for anyone who are used to writing web service, how you don't need to do so for an Apex invocable method. So let me start like by showing you what we had. So this is, I went back to a previous session where we created this. We created in one of the sessions this class, and I used it as is. It's called assigned case category action. What we did at that time, we were passing the ID of a case, and we wanted the invocable method to take this ID, search for the ID, return a category. And the category at the time, the use case we did, we chose something simple. We will be checking the case subject. Does it contain billing? So I return a category billing. If I will have a word technical, I will return it. Same password, login, authentication, otherwise general. So that's something we tested together in a flow. We want to see first how we can call it from the developer console execute anonymous, for example. So I will open the org that I am working with, and let me open the developer console. And why I'm using the developer console, it's nothing more like a way to execute it. But does that mean I cannot call it from another Apex? I can. And we can even test it together if we want to. But let me open execute anonymous here. I will remove this. And what I would do, that I would prepare a list of cases. I prepare those cases for you offline. I am preparing them in a way that we have multiple cases. Let me go to the tab. And I created each of them with different subject. So one of them has a password, so it should be go to authentication. One agent is not working. We don't have a check for this in the code, so it should return general. One should be like the technical check, and one for the billing. So that's the four scenarios we have here. One to match the billing, one technical, one for the password, and one would return general. So I created those before the session so I can show you. So all what I'm doing here, I'm preparing a list with those IDs. Then what should I do? I have here a static method. So we learned together before, a static method means I can call it using without creating an instance, without creating an object. Because if this method is not static, I should have done something like that. I should do action object, for example, and do new action, and then use the instance and call the method that I want. But in our case, we are not doing this because it's a static method. And also, that's something we covered before in the beginner series if someone wants to refresh their memory. But because it's a static method, I can go and use the class name without creating an instance, and I will call the method directly, assign category. So I will do assign category, and this one takes a list of IDs. So I have here a list of IDs. I prepared a list of IDs. I will do that and pass it. What does it do? Like it will return a list of string. So I will put here, the result will be list results, and I can system.debug, and I can print the result. So I expect 4 values to come. So if I execute it here, I got one billing, one technical, one general, one authentication. So that's because the data and the IDs I provided match the 4 categories we have. So that shows to you that an invocable method is nothing more than a regular method. Like if, I don't know if I have here class, let's see. I have the math utility, for example. The math utility is something we did in the past. What did we do with the math utility? Math utility we created and we said it's a utility. So that means I want to have the method inside to be static. So I can do, for example, add numbers that takes 2 number. So we said it's a static. I will call it from the class and I can pass the 2 values, 2 and 3, and I can put this in integer result value, and I can print it. So that's how we used to call a method, a static method. So as you can see here, it's not different at all. It's the same. I'm acting as if it's a normal method. I'm using, it's a static, so I know I have to use it through the class. I don't need to create an instance. And I'm calling the method and I'm passing the parameter. So it works exactly the same as a normal method. If you need or you want to reuse it across in real life, you won't be reusing it in developer console as we did here, but you may have another class that needs the same functionality. That means you don't have to recreate it or create another class method or copy and paste the values. That means it's accessible for you to be reused again in any Apex, whether it's execute anonymous or another class, another method, trigger, helper, anything. Okay, so that means from Apex, it's clear it's a method available for me. The next scenario. Okay, so the next use case that I want to explain to you and show you how invocable method can become very powerful and has a lot of use cases without changing anything in the code will be how can we use it as a REST API. And I am recording this offline because I feel I wanted to explain it in an easier way for everyone who's watching online without overwhelming you with too much details that we don't need to know about right now. Because right now in Code with Sally, we didn't yet explain integration or how we can do like outbound integration or inbound integration. We talked a little bit about the outbound integration and calling a REST API from another system, but we are planning to have a detailed session. So in the live session, I talked more about the inbound and how we do the web service, but I feel like it's better not to confuse anyone. We'll keep it for the next section when we discuss the integration in more depth. But I want to show you a powerful criteria or use case for invocable method. We saw by now already how we can use this invocable method. We used it in a flow before in a previous session, and we saw it in the live session this week, how we can do it from execute anonymous, or we mentioned you can use it in other classes as well. What we want to see is that without me touching, without any changes in the code, I can use it as a REST API. What that does mean? It means like if I want to expose the same logic that I have in invocable method right now, because I needed to have this invocable method for the agent, for the flow, for anything, and I have a new requirement and I need to expose the same like logic for an external system, there is no need to write a REST like resource or web service. And we'll learn more about this web service and how to write it in a future session. I don't want to overwhelm you now with those details because we didn't cover it yet. But I want to show you how we can test it. And to test it, the easiest way for me, so we don't go through authentication or proving that I have the right to call this REST API, I am connecting using my Workbench here. And because the Workbench, I usually enter the username, but because I have my org open, it got the same username and password, and I'm there. So, and we discussed that a little bit when we talked about HTTP Collab. We have like different methods, HTTP method we can do. In that case, I'll be choosing that I want to do a post, and I will tell you the URL. So without, in a way, because I have the invocable method in the background, like Salesforce created a URL for this web service, and users can use it. So I will have here let's go here. I have the URL, like for example, services, data, version 62, action, custom, and the version can change definitely. Like if you are on a higher version, and then cut action, custom, Apex, all of that is something is not changeable. Like I cannot change. It's the base URL plus like the org and stuff like that. And if you want to authenticate, that's a different story. But what I care about, the rest of the REST API URL, what is that? If I take assign case category and I search here, you will find that this is the class name. And that's all what I need to put here in the URL. So my URL is this part that is hard coded plus the org URL you have, or like your base URL, plus at the end you append the class name. And that give you a hint, or at least for me, it was an aha moment that made me understand why Salesforce is forcing maybe a one invocable method in a class, because I don't write here which method I'll be calling when I will execute my post request. So that means it's expecting one method there. Again, because it's a post, I have to put here like my input or the response, the body for me. The response will be here that I'm passing the inputs. That's a parameter like a JSON, it's an array. And for the JSON here, what we'll be passing, I'll be passing like an array. It's an array of objects. And we'll learn more about JSON. We covered a little bit about JSON when we talked about the HTTP callout, but we'll cover it more. But here I have an array of objects. So this one, this two, three, and four. And what we'll find here that we are passing LST case IDs. Where did that come from? It came from here because we are not passing a list of wrapper class. So we are passing a list of ID directly. So it became that I need to pass list of case ID. If you have a wrapper class, and let's say in the wrapper class, you have attribute called case ID, you'll be passing the case ID. But here, because we are not using the wrapper class, we will pass the list of case IDs. And here, what I did is I passed different cases IDs that I have just to demonstrate for you that I will get the output. And when I hit execute, that means we did REST API call to my web service, but actually I didn't create a web service myself. It was created, or it's there for me by creating the invocable method. And you will notice that we got the outputs here, and we'll have 4 of them. Each of them has the output value for what's the case category for the corresponding case ID. And again, it depends on your invocable method. If you're having the wrapper and you have different attributes, if you are returning instead of a single string, it won't be returning an output only for the value. If you have a wrapper class and you have different attributes, case ID maybe and the case category, you will have those returned for you. So that's just a quick example on how it's powerful, and it can be used as a REST service and a web service without you actually writing one. This is just a quick example of the web service. We won't be explaining it, but we had to do specific syntax for it, like what's the REST resource URL and what's the method that you are having or you are exposing. So I didn't have to do any of those special format to create the web service. It just the same code. So you have it, it's ready. You will see it as like it can be used in a flow. We saw it can be used in an Apex. We saw it now as a REST API. And so the next, and that's the major, like what we want to focus on, is having this as an action in Agentforce, as an Agentforce action. So I will show you that I prepared for you a employee agent. For this org, I was using it to test the scenarios we'll be implementing for today's session. We will add a topic for case management, or like to return the value for the case. So let me go to the Agentforce, and in the next demo, we'll use another org, and we'll start fresh. We'll start with a new org. We'll create the employee agent together, and we'll create the first topic. This one just to show you what we have, that it can be used across all, and give you an idea that it's the same. So I prepared for the session multiple 4 scenarios. I don't think we'll have the time to go through the 4 of them, but I will show you a demo for the 4, and we'll start the first one today. And I will ask you toward the end of the session if you want to see them implemented together in the next session, or you prefer to do it as a homework and you want to move on to the next topic. So be prepared to tell me your opinion. But I created a topic called case management, and in the next demo, we'll create the topic together. What we did is I give a classification. So like I said, like this topic will handle requests related to case organization and management. Use this when you ask for a category of a case. So we want the same. I want to give the agent a case. It can be the case number, and based on the subject, it tells me the category. Is it a real scenario or a real use case? It can be a real use case if someone wants to have the chat, or like the Agentforce employee agent, as a buddy to ask questions before doing certain updates. Is it the most useful use case for an employee agent? I would say no, and that's why I have other scenarios for you. Then we define the scope, and then I give instruction. Instruction, I said, like when the user asks to categorize a case, first use query records. That's the query records. It's a standard action I added, and we'll see in the next demo as well. We'll create it. We will add it from scratch. And I said, like after that, use assign case category that we will be adding to the topic. So if I go to the actions here, you'll find now it's just the query records. So let's say if I have here, this is the password reset. If I say in the agent now, what is the right category for the case? And I gave the case number. So this one is password. I'm expecting it to return authentication, but remember we didn't add the action yet. So what it could do, it said like, I found the case. Let me determine its category. And it couldn't do beyond that. Like it couldn't do it because we don't have the action added. So what it did, it figured out that we are in the right topic, the case management. And then it used the query records to find the right case. And then because we don't have other actions, it couldn't get the category. So what we want to do is I want now to add the action of getting the case category using the invocable method that we created in a previous session, and we used it in a flow. We saw it in an Apex. We saw it as a REST service, a REST resource, and now we'll do it in the agent. So what to do that, you add a new action. And at some point as well, we'll cover mapping or changing any agent we'll be building today from the old builder to the new. That should be a future session. But for now, we are working with the old, but adding a new action interface will be the same between the new and old. So it will be added the same way. So I have here Apex, my type, and I say the type of the Apex we are trying to use is invocable methods. And then I will search. I have a lot in this org, but I will get assigned case category. And if I go back here, you'll find that assigned case category is the label that we put. And we mentioned, like, when we were working with the flow, we said we have category as a case, or we had a different category when we were running the session. That was helping cleaning up the UI in the flow to figure out which action you want to add. But the label is very important. It's helping me to figure out like which method I want to use. I will leave it the same. You'll find here, assign category to a case based on keyword in the subject field. And that's coming from the description. So the label helped me find out the case that like the right invocable method that I need to use. The description was helping me to add the instruction here, and you can modify it. Loading text is whenever we run the agent. And let me also, I remove myself to the left so I don't block the agent when we are testing. I would say here, loading text, when we were the agent here, you will find that it's showing some text like it thinking or finding the record. I can say like here, getting the case category. Okay, next, the input and the output. You notice here that the input and the output came for me as list of case IDs. List of case IDs is coming from this. It's not the best name to use. We name it that way because it's, yes, it's a list, but we saw it before and we'll see it again in the next demo that it's better to pass instead of directly the ID here to create a wrapper and pass a wrapper. And in the wrapper, we have the parameter or the value correct. And that will make it better in terms of the UI when it shows, because now you will think it's it accepts multiple, but actually we are passing a record ID. So it's a bit confusing in terms of the UI. That's why we recommend that you pass a wrapper class, not the value or the parameter data type directly. And we'll see it in the next demo together. So here I would say case record ID, and this one is required. I need it. So I will make it required. For the output, again, because we are returning here in this invocable method, because we used it as is, this is what we had at the time we ran the demo for the flow, we are returning a string. In the next demo as well, we'll see that it's better to have a wrapper class. And when you have the wrapper class, you can change or it will show the correct variable name based on the property of the class we will be passing. So here it show output. It's not the prettiest, but we'll say here case category found, case category. And I want to show it in the conversation. I want the agent to show it to me. So I will finish. Now the instruction is already, I had it before the session. I was saying already assign case category, and assign case category is the name that came from the method. I didn't change it. So be careful if like you chose to change the name of the action to be fetch case category. It's important that your topic instruction match the name of the case of the action so the agent don't get confused. It may work, it may not, but you are confusing the agent. So we said always like be clear with the intention, what you want to do when you're working with AI, and we saw that when we were working with Agentforce Vibes. So the same, when you are asking the agent to run a certain action, make sure that the name is the same. So let me refresh here the case, the preview, and I will run the right category. I will write the same utterance again, give me the category of the case. So now you will see that it went to the case management as it did last time. It's showing we have 2 actions instead of 1. And it ran first the query records. And then here you will see that we are calling assign case category. We are passing in the variable, we have the name, like the ID of the record. And the output became the authentication. And because we chose the output to be displayed on the agent, we saw that the authentication is coming here. So that's the use case for the agent. And here we were testing if I go, I activated my agent. If I will go here in real life, like someone can say, instead of like, what is the right category for the case? I can say for this case, because I have the case open. I have the record open and I can type the same question about this. Like someone is working and want to know what's the category because they want to send certain document or to do something based on the answer and they don't remember the categories or the logic you have. So it told me like it's authentication. So for example, if I want to change the owner and I have different queues and I want to do it manually, I didn't want the agent to do it. I could ask the agent to assign, or like we can have a more complex scenario where it checks the like the category type and assign it to the right. But let's say I want to change the ownership manually, but I want someone to revisit the rules we had. What's the right category? So I assign it to the right user. So it can be a use case. So just to summarize, what we did is we reused an existing as is invocable method we had in a previous session that we saw together how to use it in a flow. Today we saw how to use it in Apex. It can be executed anonymous or other. We saw how briefly use it as a REST API or REST resource. And the last is how to add it to an agent. So those are just to give you an idea how powerful invocable method can be used and how they can be reused across different categories. Can you explain the output part of the topic again? Sure. So here, what we have in the return type of the action is a list of string. Again, we said before that the input and the output of the action, the list is not an actually a list. Like the list here, this list is just for bulkification. So when if you review the video, you will find that assign category, when we used it with a flow, it was expecting a single string. And when we had to pass a list of string, we did like that, list of string, because the first list is always for bulkification. So the same for the result. The result here, it's showing list of string, but again, it's for bulkification, this list, and the actual result is a string. So what happened is the agent, when we added the action, it was showing here, let me deactivate. It was showing here that the output, it's called output, like it doesn't have a pretty name. And that's because we didn't write a wrapper class and give, for example, we didn't write something like that. Public class response, for example, and we did like invocable variable public and then string, and we put here, let's say, what can I say for it? Case category. This is a wrapper class or a class we did in inner class for the response. I can change this and say it's invocable variable. Now let's I can show it to you so it's more clear. Instead of list of string, I will return a list of response. And class, we started with capital, so I will make it like that. And it's a list of response. And the list of categories here, I will make it list responses. And I will say here, instead of list category, I will put here response value equal new response, and I will say response value dot case category, and I put here, instead of that, I call this to get the category for it. And after that, I put in the list of responses here, dot add, I put the response we got. So that's what we can do instead to be cleaner. And then instead of returning the list of categories, I will do the list of responses. And the same I can do for the request. So if I do public class request, and I will do here invocable variable, and I will make it also, instead of list of strings, it will be public string, and I will do here case ID. Okay, and I will show it to you in the agent. It's a good thing to see the two next to each other. So instead of that, I can do here, I will pass list of requests, and I will say here list requests. And I know, for example, that categories, there is a question in the chat. What's the difference between the list of category and list of responses? The difference I will show it to you only in the UI, how it will show when you are adding the action, and it's cleaner. And also the benefit from doing this, that we can return more than one value. I will show it to you. So here I will do list of requests, and I know here list of requests of 0. I know we are getting 1, for example, for simplicity now, and I will say case ID. So I'm getting the, or in the, yeah, let's do it like this for now. And I don't have to, okay, let's keep it first. I will show it to you with the response first, and then we can come and do it this way for the request too. But I will have it here prepared so I can show you the difference. What we had here, if you remember, for the input, we had list of case IDs. And the output, it had output like as a name. It's not something that we have. I don't like this. It's coming because of how we have the invocable method. If I remove the assigned case from the topic and put it again, and I do here Apex Invocable Methods, and I show here assign case category. When I go next, you'll find here, see the output as a text became not output, became case category. And that's because I have a wrapper. So it came and saw like that I have a case category as invocable variable as a property for this wrapper. So it show case category. In the past, we had here the return as list of string. So it was showing output, which is a bit confusing if someone is working with the UI and see an output. Also, the benefit of having a wrapper, and that's something we explained when we were doing the invocable methods, we can have here choose case subject. I will return the case subject as well. So I can have another variable here that return the case subject. And let me do like that. I do here response value dot case subject. I will hard code it for now because we don't have the get case category is doing something specific, returning just a string. So to add to that, like testing, we have to change the code so much. So let's do that just to see it. If I do now this deploy and I refresh, I didn't add the action, and we refresh, we'll see now that the output options will have one more option for me to include. So new action, I will have here Apex. I will have here invocable method. I will assign the case category. So when I go here, I will see case category, and I will see as well that I have case subject. And that's coming because I have two properties in the case, in the wrapper class that I had for the response. You had no option to return more than value without doing that. Same, we still have here list of case IDs because the parameter is just straight a list of IDs. If I switch it to list of requests instead, and let's do that, I will loop on the requests and add the case IDs. I will prepare here list or in that case, better set case IDs, and I would say here, new set ID, and I loop for request object, and I do list of requests. In that case, I can keep adding set dot add, and I do request object dot case ID. I'm collecting them. So I have the whole, and now here I will pass the set instead, and I can loop through the request. In that case, I will loop through the requests. So I have here request object from the list of requests because I don't have a list of IDs directly. And what we will do is I will pass here the request object dot case ID, and I'm returning the response for it. Let me save it now. And what I will do as well, I will do here for you, just an example. We are not using it, but I will do here that invocable variable, and I will pass here public string extra value. So I'm just passing an extra value, even though we are not doing anything with it, just to see. So again, you will see here, we had list of case IDs because I had the input as a list of IDs directly. I didn't have the option like to control what's the value that will show like the parameter, because it is as this is the input, but we called it as a list because of the bulkification of the invocable method that we have to respect. So let me add here new action. I'll go to the Apex Invocable Method, and I will choose assign case category. Now you will see for the inputs, we have one is the case ID. It's not anymore list of case IDs. And we have as well extra value. I can set this as required. And this one, let's see here, case record ID, required input, this one, extra details, and it's not required. And here I will show here case category, a case category value, and I will show it in the conversation. Let's see the case subject that we are hard coding for now as well, case subject value, and I will show it in the, let's see, what did I miss? Okay, yeah, loading text, getting case category, and it's an option. Like if you don't want to have loading text, you can unselect it. So if I do that, and I would say here, this is the case number, I will come back to the agent, refresh because we did changes, get me the category of the case, and I give the case value. So it's thinking this is where it should show getting category value. Yes, it showed, but it was quick, and it's showing authentication and the test Sally that we hard coded. So that's the benefit of passing a wrapper class or returning a wrapper class. First, even if it has a single value, like even if we didn't need to pass two parameters, like the benefit is for me to give the property a name. So it doesn't rely on the variable we have here. It was showing a list of case IDs, even though I meant to pass a single value and I didn't have the option to change it. And in the code, it makes sense for me to have it as a list because the input is a list of IDs because of the bulkification restriction of the invocable method. So the best always is to have a wrapper class. And we saw together as well, when you have the invocable variables, like you can have more like, is it required or not, a description for it that looks nice in the UI, and it helps you in the flow to understand how it's used, or in the Agentforce action, it can fill the description for you. And the response, again, when we didn't have like we had a specific type here as a list of string, it was showing that the parameter when we added the action is named output, even though it's the case category. So even if I want to return a single value, it's better for me to do it that way. So I can control what's the variable name here. So it shows in a better way. And also the labels, the description, all of that will help with the UI as well. So it's equally important to use them here in the request and response. So that's what I wanted to show you in regards like how output rendering was like Japanese. Yes, I noticed that when I was adding the action, there is a question that I don't know why, and it's not happening all the time. Like if I go here, sometimes I notice that the text here appear for me in Japanese or another language, and it's not English. I cannot tell why this is happening, to be honest. Here now it's showing as plain English. So it's not happening all the time. I recently started to see it, but I let it be. But I know it's a bit annoying. Maybe if you get it, like click cancel and refresh and try it again, because if you want to choose instead of text, rich text. So like just a quick checkup, like for anyone who had a question about the output part, about passing a category or a string directly versus a wrapper class. Is it better now and more clear why we are doing them? If you can give me a thumbs up or put in the chat if it's all good or just unmute. I just want to make sure I covered your questions. Quick check. Okay. It seems we are good then. Okay. So that's what I wanted to show, like in regards of invocable method. And the reason why I didn't have it as a request and response, again, the purpose, I wanted to use it as is, as the version we used it with the flow. But in the next examples we will be building maybe next time, I'll be creating the request and response wrapper because that's my preference. And we saw today and demonstrated how that will impact UI and how it will give you flexibility of passing more. And sometimes people think like, oh, I don't need to pass anything else with the case ID. I'm fine. I will have it as even if it's showing list of case IDs, or I will change this and make it case ID even if it's a list. I will go with that. My advice, don't do that, because I work with a couple of Agentforce implementation. And yes, at the beginning, we had a restrictive selection of what we want to pass, but with time and the case or the like things got evolved more, and we wanted to change and added more values either for the input and output. So we had to go back and change like the structure from the response, like no request or no response and created, and it would be easier for me to add just an extra property to the class. Yes, heads up, for me to change anything in the action, I cannot do it unless I remove the action and add it. Like you cannot control that at this time of time. Maybe in the future it would be different, but if I go to edit, like I cannot get extra parameters that I added or remove, if any. But like I hope this will change in the future and we can do it. Okay, so for the time being, we saw an existing invocable method. We were able to see it together to be used in Apex, REST, and we saw it in the agent as well. So we saw it in 3 different places today. So that makes it 4. So that's a great usage of reusability and having the same logic accessible through different UI or different functionality within Salesforce. Let me demonstrate for you what I had initially like for the session. To be honest, adding and using an existing invocable method was a last minute thing that I wanted to experiment with you and show you so you can see in the full cycle. I had those 4 cases. So let me show it to you in action and let me know in the comments. I'll be checking at the end which use case you want to see it implemented live in our next session. So your input is very important. And also I will be checking the comments on the YouTube and it depends on the comments. I will be implementing the ones you will be picking live, or I will pick and choose myself. So it's your opportunity to choose. So first of all is I wanted to have an easy use case together and say like what are the access I have for a specific account. And that sometimes is useful, and sometimes in the background to do that, we like have to run a query and do it. So I thought like, why not have my assistant, which is my agent now, to do this for me. So I can have this and see like what access do I have for agent, like for a specific account. Let me do it from you, from the UI. I have it active. And let's see. Why do it in the planner? Let's do it here. And that's checking my access for a specific account. And it tells me like your access is full access, you are the owner. And if I try to log in quickly for another user I prepared, and let's see, users, I didn't enable. Let me do it for you at the end, or let's do it in the next session to demo the other user. When I will demo from the other user, you will see that it will tell me that I have, for example, edit, but I don't have delete because I am not a system admin. So that is one use case that I built. The other topic I built was to reuse an existing API call we did in the past in one of the sessions. We did like an API call out, and we used a REST API to get the details about a certain country. So I created a topic to do that. Tell me more about Brazil. So that will, in the background, will go and execute a API callout, and like invocable method that reuse the API callout we have and return for me the region, the capital, the details that I specified that I want to show from the like API. Another one that I found it's good and it's nice. Let's see if I have an account here, and I can see, for example, I want to create a follow-up task for this account tomorrow. So what it will do, it can create a task for me. You are working and someone tells you something, and let me refresh. Now I have only one for this account. Now I have another one for tomorrow. Sometimes you want something to remind you of what's next. Or this is interesting because now I said for this account, it understands that this is the account I'm interested in, and it got the record for this account. Then it attached the task. But for example, create a task for me to buy dog food today. For example, I'm working and I remember something I want to task for me that is not related to account or contact. Where I will see it, I will see it here in my to-do tasks, and I will see here dog food. Okay, it got created or not. Let's see. So we can check it further if overdue, but I want to see today and open tasks, and I want it's okay. Like yesterday I was testing this, it will created the follow-up, it created other ones. Yes, here we go. It's just the sorting got me confused, but it's a buy dog food. It's not related to anything. So it's smart enough to figure out if I set something like an account or another record that it can get and relate the task to or not. So again, this to show that we have a like DML, or it can be more complex, create a series of actions that needs to do when someone onboarded or something like that. So I took it from no call out, just simple DML, to external API, do a wrapper class in DML for the insert. And again, it's smart to figure out whether or not. The last example that I want to show you, and that's more advanced, and what it will do is like multiple chaining events. I created a field for you here on the account, and let me clear it for you. It's a rich text, and I would say here, I want to expand like this account into Brazil and Germany. Can you pull together a country briefing for those countries? Again, I'm trying to reuse things of what we used in the past. So what it do, it will get the account, make sure it exists, and then do the call out for more than one country. It's not a single country. And then it will create, in the background, I'm calling a prompt template to get me a nice rich text for the result, and then it update and store the value in the expansion briefing of the account. So let me refresh and let's see. Oh, it shows the value, the result was appearing here. I wasn't patient enough, but it's showing here Brazil and Germany, what are the briefing based on the instruction I gave in the prompt to like format it in that way. So that like it's kind of more advanced use case where I relied on 3 actions. One is standard, then 2 custom, one for the API that calls the prompt as well, and then 1 to store it in the record, just to give you different idea or different flavor. So unfortunately, we are at time. I don't have the time like to show them to you today, but it was great session. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something. I hope it just gave you an idea that invocable methods are powerful. It's important to learn them. Check the previous videos, and I hope it's clear why it's better to have a like wrapper class versus like passing the parameters as a list of IDs or return a list of string directly. It was a great question, and I know we took some time to show it, but it's a good thing to see it in action and see like to compare how that made the UI and using the action in the agent cleaner and easier to be used. So it there like preference in the chat, or feel free to unmute and tell me like if there is a preference to implement any of those use cases, or you don't want to implement them and you want to have them as a homework, and let's move on to the next topic. I would be looking for your feedback on the YouTube, and I would take offline here after stopping the recording from the attendees I have here in the session, so they can express themselves freely what their preference. But it was great to have you here, and like it was amazing to have everyone together on this journey, and there is more votes to do use case number 4. If that's the case, we may do number 4. It will take us some time, and I will leave 1, 2, and 3 if we don't have time to cover them for you as a homework. Again, it's nice to play around with the agent and Agentforce, agents, old or new, and see the invocable methods and experiments. So it's, even if they seem simple, I would recommend you doing them. It was great to have you here. Feel free to message me with any questions, leave comments in the on the YouTube or in Slack and WhatsApp, which use case you want to see live next time. And that will be our last session for invocable methods. So it's your call. What do you want to do and at which use case you want to implement, so we can move on to the next topic after that. Thank you so much. I really appreciate everyone who's watching offline or who attended with me today. And I will see you next week. We have a session on Tuesday. That is amazing session. Keep an eye, make sure to attend. And we won't have a session on Thursday, unfortunately. But I will see you one time at least next week, and we'll continue invocable methods the week after. Thank you so much.